Well, welcome everybody. My name is Peter Denham. Today I will be speaking on reform in our nation towards abortion, making it illegal. In the 1940s, the world witnessed the aftermath of one of the most horrific events in human history. Soon after World War II was over, facts began to unwind and reveal the horrible acts of Nazi Germany in the Holocaust, where nearly 6 million Jews were killed. Today, we face a similar tragedy in human society, a modern-day Holocaust. What I am referring to is abortion. Get this, in the US, over 1.6 million babies are killed every year due to abortion. Now, this is a sad statistic, and many people in our nation turn a blind eye. However, the reality is, this is a huge problem in our country today. Millions of lives are lost each year in the death camp of abortion. My humble hope and prayer is that we would see reform in our nation's policy toward abortion. We all need to recognize the depravity of this current situation in our nation and rise to the occasion as ethical human beings by doing our part to be a voice for the millions and millions of voices that have been lost due to abortion. We need to see reform in our nation because abortion is unethical, it's immoral, it leaves one human being dead and the other scarred for life, and it promotes the dehumanization of ethnic groups in our country today. It's very clear that due to this tragic act, abortion is unethical. At conception, a baby begins its first 9 months of life in the womb, growing and developing before its pre-appointed time to be birthed outside of the womb. This is a part of the basics of science as it relates to human life. Keith Moore from Princeton University puts it well when he says, human development begins after the union of male and female gametes of germ cells during a process known as fertilization, conception. Now, this is the foundation of human development. Cells begin to grow and develop, thus signifying life, human life. Now, regardless of what someone defines as human life, does not change the moral and ethical accountability that is required of the mother and father toward the baby. People have differing opinions on what human life is, but it is clear that on a scientific level, human life begins at conception. Now, Austin Klein, in his article about whether or not abortion is immoral, states that being pregnant means having new life growing inside of you. Now, whether the fetus is a person or not, and whether the state takes a position on abortion or not, it's arguable that a woman has some sort of ethical obligation to the fetus. Every individual who is considering an abortion must ask themselves whether or not it is ethical to kill human life. The obvious answer is no. And we shouldn't treat babies inside of the womb any different. Jeffrey Moll and James Boscom, in their contribution to the article, 10 Reasons Why Abortion is Evil and Not a Pro-Choice, stated that the unborn baby has a distinct, unchanging, and unrepeatable genetic code, unique in all of history. From the moment of conception till death, nothing is added except nutrition and oxygen. So abortion is unethical, it's also immoral. You see, there's a deeper root that runs in the midst of all of this, and it's one that begs the question of morality. Is it moral to abort a child? Every human being has a soul and will stand accountable to the creator of the soul, the Almighty God. Morality and ethics comes from God and is hardwired into our design as human beings. Because we will stand accountable to God, we must follow his design and purpose for life. Boscom and Moll continue on in their article to state that abortion is an offense against God, the one who has designed our morality. He clearly and explicitly says in his word that we should not murder. We live in a world that has equated ethics and morality to human values. It seems as though people are confused and can't seem to decide what to think about anything. Ray Cotton expounds on this in his article, Morality Apart from God. Is it possible? When he says, the very idea of basing our morality upon our values means that we have bought into the idea of a system of relativistic ethics. That means that people can argue what is ethical for me doesn't have to be ethical for you. The failure to recognize ethical and moral standards that everyone must be accountable to is a failure to have order in life. And the result of it is what we see now. Abortion is unethical, it's immoral, and it leaves one person dead and the other scarred for life. The propagandistic techniques and lies that push for abortions in women are unparalleled in mass media. From cosmopolitan articles saying that it is a normal procedure to the social and political pressures fused through mass media, women are not given the proper facts and statistics surrounding this horrific procedure. Many women do not receive the proper information or knowledge about what they are going through. Nancy Flanders, in her article on women with post-abortion pain and regret, says that women are told that an abortion is simple, that it is a normal act. They are told to relax. They are told to remain still. They are told everything to keep them from changing their mind. The truth is, it's not a normal procedure. It's incredibly unnatural. Women who have abortions experience regret. Listen to a testimony from Lori Narad. She says, 2 weeks after the abortion, I went into labor. I staggered into the bathroom, and there, with my husband beside me, I delivered a part of my baby the doctor had missed. It was the head of my baby. I'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking I hear a baby crying, and I still have nightmares in which I am forced to watch my baby being ripped apart in front of me. I simply miss my baby. I constantly wake up wanting to nurse my child, wanting to hold my child, and that's something the doctor never told me I would experience. So sad. What these women experience is far from normal or okay. They experience a death, and in the result, they have to live with the guilt and regret for the rest of their life. Abortion promotes dehumanization of ethnic groups in our nation. There's no doubting the fact that abortion is cruel, it's inhumane, and it's evil at its core. There's so many terrible and horrific things surrounding this deadly practice, and the worst is that abortion affects our ethnic and minority communities here in the U.S. more than anyone else. America is meant to be a melting pot. It's meant to be a place where we celebrate diversity, but abortion is killing that. It's ruining that. Zoe Dutton, a writer for The Atlantic, says that an African-American woman is almost 5 times likelier to have an abortion than a white woman, and a Latina is more than twice as likely. Dutton continues on by pointing to studies that have found that women of color report experiencing pressure from their doctors to use contraceptives and limit their family size. Such discrimination, the study speculated, may discourage them from seeking birth control and reproductive counsel altogether. Questions should arise in our heads when this is taking place. Our country needs to proactively seek out new methods of health and medical practices for minority women across our nation and create a greater awareness of how to prevent unwanted pregnancies from occurring. Sarah Cohen supports this in her article on abortion and women of color by stating that access to medical care, including financial access, remains a significant issue that particularly affects minority communities. However, there is an increasing recognition of the critical importance of the quality of care as it affects health-seeking behavior and outcomes. It is far better for us as a nation to take the necessary steps to provide better health care so that we do not have to see thousands and thousands and thousands of babies killed every year. Abortion is a horrible and tragic reality today in our nation and across the globe. As believers, we have a call on our lives to be the salt and light of the world, pointing people to the love and freedom found in Jesus. We need to recognize that abortion is unethical in its practice, it's immoral in its core, that it leaves one person dead and the other scarred for life, while also dehumanizing ethnic minority groups in our country today. It's time that we actively pray and seek out ways in which we can be a part of the change needed in our country. My humble hope and prayer is that we would see reform in our nation's policy toward abortion. We all need to recognize the depravity of this current situation and rise to the occasion as ethical human beings by doing our parts to be a voice for the millions and millions of voices that have been lost due to abortion. Thank you.